Good evening and welcome once again. Yes, this is a live version. After October 1st, we go live right until May. So people asking, is this a live or recorded? It's live. So welcome once again to Train Tuesday. I am your host, Jim Wiggin, and so glad to have you on board with us tonight. Now, if you are catching us after the fact, if you're not here live and you're catching us on our YouTube channel and you enjoy the type of video content that Athearn brings out on a weekly basis, please do us a favor, like and subscribe to the channel, comment when you can, and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time a new video like this drops into the YouTube channel. Well, it looks like we've got some folks joining us here tonight. Let's see who's joining us on the live. I see DG Model Works is in the house. I see Jason is here from the Truesville Southern. Ultimate Inspector from Texas is here. Delta 9, Elko Steam, Butch, Wayne, Randall, Mr. Jason himself, and Ronald and Donnie, just to name a few. If you can't tell, it is harvest season here in Central Illinois, so my voice is going to crack a little bit. There's all kinds of stuff flying in the air, and I'm highly allergic to it. So we're going to get through this as best we can, and I'm going to try to get through this without me losing my voice. So we're going to be talking both HO scale and N scale. In fact, I've got some examples right here on the layout behind me that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about 30K tank cars, both in HO and N scale. And then I'm going to take you down memory lane. We're going to talk about the cabover tractor that was produced by Freightliner from 1976 until 1986. And then we're going to talk about 28-foot Wedge trailers. Now, I saw a comment at the beginning of the live feed from Mr. I think it was Wagner, if I remember right. And he wanted to know, hey, Jim, why is that 28-foot a wedge? Wouldn't everything just fall out the back because of that slope? Well, the reason being, long story short, is that wedge was to accompany the roll-up door that was in the back of the trailer itself. Now, the actual inside workings of the trailer, two things. That slope isn't as pronounced as you would think. Second of all, there's also anchor points on most of those trailers. And usually the floor was level. The wedge part was an exterior part just to accommodate that roll-up door. So, Stephen, I hope that answers your question. Hopefully you've made it tonight to catch us for a little bit. I know he has an engagement, so he's probably going to bow out. But before we get started, let's see what other folks are joining us. I see Sid is here, and I see Jason, Harold, Charles, Donnie, Randall, and I do believe I saw some other ones here. Delta 9's here, Michael is here, Wayne is here, and Alco Steam, Charlie, Ronald, Canadian Logistics, Locomotive Logistics is here as well. So there we have it. We've got a pretty good house filling up here. Let's go ahead and get started with another Train Tuesday. So we're going to start by talking about these 30,000 gallon ethanol tank cars. Now, these modern ethanol tank cars have a 30,000 gallon capacity. Most tank cars are owned by railcar leasing companies. Many are leased to ethanol producing companies, and they carry the company logos. Fuel dealers, small refineries, and other industries receive single cars and small blocks of cars that are mixed into freight trains. However, large gasoline refineries, it may be possible for them to receive 100 car unit trains several times per week. Now, the good news is if you're modeling in either HO scale or N scale and you want to do one of these large unit trains, we're going to make it possible for you. So what you see on your screen right now, this beautiful car is actually in stock right now. This ADM car is item number ATH 29916. Again, it's ATH 29916. It is currently in stock. If you like this ADM car, ADMX is the reporting numbers, and the road number is 30720. In stock now, and they go fast. So these just came in stock. It's just happenstance that we're going to be talking about the same car tonight. Now let's talk about the cars that we're going to be offering for October. Now you have until Friday, October 25th, which, believe it or not, is next Friday. Month is half over already. I can't believe it. So get those pre-orders in. Remember, we are tightening up our pre-orders with the factory. Reason being is because, as everybody knows, we're kind of lagging on shipping. While the factory is trying to catch up, what we're doing to help out with that is we're tightening up those orders so that the factory can keep up. And the good news is that means product will start getting here faster. The bad news is, however, you're not going to see as many items in stock because we're going to be sticking close to those pre-orders. So, in other words, if you don't pre-order, the chances of you actually getting one of these models is pretty slim. So, keep that in mind as we talk about what we're offering tonight. So, we've got a mixed bag here for you. We tried to pick cars mainly within the 2000s, but we do have some other options here for you as well. Now, starting at the top, this is a 2017 era car. It's going to have the 3082 placard, which means environmentally hazardous substance, in this case, a liquid. This is Procar. Their reporting marks are PROX. All of these tank cars that we're offering in this run are going to be available as a single, as seen here, car number 75102, as well as two 3-car sets. Now, car set number 1 will include road numbers 75177, 75280, and 75345. The second 3-car set will include road numbers 75242, 75295, and 75299. So you don't have to worry about repeating road numbers. There's no duplicates here. They're all different, so you can go ahead and order all both the sets as well as the single. Coming up next, we have Chevron. Chevron is a 2016 era car. Could definitely be used up until modern times because 2016 really wasn't that long ago. This has a blank placard. The car that you're seeing represents the single car. The Chevron reporting marks are CHVX, and this car number 295002, is available separately. Likewise, you can get two 3-car sets for Chevron. The first set will include car numbers 295010, 295017, 295026, and then the second 3-car set will include road numbers 295016, 295020, and 295031. Then finally, at the bottom of your screen, for those that are modeling the 1970 era, we're offering the U.S. Department of Defense. This is going to have a 1987 placard, which means it's a flammable liquid. Now, the reporting marks for the U.S. Department of Defense is DODX, and this is the single car. This is car number 14401. Additionally, we'll offer two 3-car sets for the Department of Defense. Car set number 1 will include road numbers 14407, 14412, 14444, and then the second 3-car set will include road numbers 14450, 14466, and 14481. Next, we have 3 more for you. We're going to start with Nebraska Corn Processing. Now, this is a 2015 era car. Now, we get a lot of comments on this car on social media because the placard that's included with this car is 1987. That's a flammable liquid. A lot of people are asking, why is a Nebraska Corn Processing car have a 1987 flammable placard on it? Well, we don't honestly know. Our researchers found pictures of this particular car that you see on your screen here, and that's what we're doing. We're keeping it legit. Now, this is being offered as a single as well. The reporting marks for Nebraska Corn Processing is NCPX, and this car number is 014. Now, additionally, we'll offer two 3-car sets, including car set number 1 with road numbers 016, 068, and 070. The second car set will include road numbers 077, 091, and 098. Now, if we do come across some information to update you as to why this car has this placard, we'll certainly let you know in a next Train Tuesday or on social media, so keep your eyes peeled. For those that are modeling the 1990s, we present the Chief car. Now, again, this has a 1987 placard, and the car that's being offered as a single is seen in the middle of your screen. The reporting marks for Chief is ACFX, and it's 89951. Additionally, two three-car sets will be offered for this car, including road numbers 89955, 89963, 89966, and the second three-car set will include road numbers 89964, 89967, and 89977. And then finally, for 2010 era, we have Reeve Agri Energy. Again, a 1987 placard is affixed to this tank car. Their reporting marks are GATX, and the road number for the single, as seen on your screen, is 35194. Additionally, like the others, two three-car sets will be offered for this particular road name. The first set will include road numbers 35199, 35203, 35207, and the second car set will include road numbers 35200, 35208, and 35209. Now let's talk about the features of these Athearn cars. Now these are not Genesis, but you're going to be surprised at how many details and features these cars actually have. We're going to go back to our ADM example, which again is currently in stock, even though it's from a previous run. So these are all going to have separately applied walkway platforms. They're going to have manway and outlets, ladders, brake rigging detail, safety rail supports, the tank saddles, and of course the printed placards. These will also have photo etched metal walkways and end platforms. These will have wire safety rails and handrails, and all of these will include 100-ton roller bearing trucks. Wheel sets are 36-inch machine metal wheels with RP25 contours, and of course, the McHenry scale knuckle couplers are body mounted. Now, for the minimum radius on these cars, you can run these without any issues on a minimum radius of 18 inches. So even the smaller layouts out there can enjoy these tank cars. Now, these tank cars are being offered again as a single. So if you have a small layout and you just need to switch out an industry here or there, you can. But if you're one of those lucky guys with a large club layout or a large home layout, or maybe you're part of Fremo, you can definitely make one of those unit trains thanks to the two sets of 3-packs per road. So there you have the HO scale version. We're going to segue over now to the N scale version. Now, the good news about the N scale version, well, you're going to have the same options as the HO scale guys. You're going to have the same roads, the same eras, the same road numbers. So I won't go in depth on those road numbers. Now, if you're just joining the program and you want to see all those road numbers that we're offering in N scale, you can certainly go to our website at athearn.com, select the new announcements tab, and drill down till you find the PDF as well as see all on the new N scale announcements. And you can see it for yourself. We're going to offer the N scale cars just like the HO as a single as well as two 3-car sets. And really, N scale guys, you're probably going to want to get those 2-car sets because it's real easy to make a believable train in N scale. Let's just go through these one more time for the N scale guys that are just showing up and show you what we're offering. So first of all, what we have here is Pro Car. This is a 2017 era, so this is a pretty modern car. Again, we're going to offer this as a single, like you see on your screen currently, as well as two 3-car sets. I don't know about you, but I think an N scale, especially on a Fremo layout, a solid line of these cars would look pretty cool. If you want to stick something that's real close by as far as errors are concerned, and definitely would see freight together, Chevron, that's a 2016 era car. Also want to let you know too that just because they're N scale doesn't mean they don't have placards. The Pro car that we talked about just previously has a 3082 placard, which means it has environmentally hazardous substance, in this case a liquid. The Chevrons, however, are just blank placards. The Chevron, like the Pro car, will be available as a single as well as two 3-car sets. If you don't model the modern era, but you want to stock up on these tank cars, maybe you model the 1970s, don't worry, we've got you covered with the US Department of Defense. Now, this is a 1970 era car, certainly used throughout the 1970s. The placard on this car is 1987. And again, we're going to offer this as a single as well as 2 3-car sets. Going back to 2015, starting at the very top, we've got the Nebraska corn processing. This is a 2015 era car. So really, if you're modeling anywhere between 2010 to 2017, you're in good luck. You've got a lot of cars to choose from or just add to your roster. Now, the Nebraska corn processing is also going to have that placard that's 1987. And you're going to have the car that you see here is a single as well as 2 3-car sets. Right there in the middle, if you're more of a 90s modeler, we've got the Chief. The Chief is available with its 1987 placard, which is a flammable liquid, usually an alcohol or ethanol. And this is being sold as a single as well as 2 3-car sets. And then finally, we have Reeve Agri Energy. Now, this too will have the 1987 placard, and it's available as a single as well as 2 different 3-packs. Now, most N-scale guys are probably going to go ahead and get the 3-car sets because if you're like me, you're probably active in one of the modular standards of N-scale. And these make impressive trains. So now's your chance. Right now, we're in luck as N-scalers, as the HO scale guys are, because currently we have the N-scale versions from a previous run in stock right now, and we can also pre-order these before the end of the month. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the features of these cars. Now, N-scale, just because you're smaller doesn't mean you're not going to have less detail. Now, these MET cars, this is a 3-car set. I wanted to show you the 3-car set. These are actually in stock. In fact, if you want to pick up these at your local hobby shop or order them online and you want to get the MET tank car set of 3, this is set number 2 of the 2 sets that we offered. The item number for this particular set is ATH 18018. Again, that is ATH 18018. These are in stock, and I could probably use some more, so I'm probably gonna order those before you guys beat me to it. Now let's talk about the details. And I mean, you can't really see this far away from the layout, but these are going to have separately applied brake wheels, walkway platform, manway, outlet, ladders, brake rating detail, safety rail supports, and tank saddles. These also have photo etched metal walkways and end platforms. They look absolutely stunning up close. Wire safety rails and end handrails, and like the HO, you are going to have printed placards that you can put on these models. Now, a little bit different than some N-scale manufacturers, our 100-ton roller bearing trucks are actually screw mounted to the chassis. We find that to be a little bit more secure and a little bit more adjustable than your standard plastic pin. These are going to have body mounted McHenry operating scale knuckle couplers, and they've got a minimum radius of 11 inches. Now, typically, most N-scale cars are 9 3/4. These are a little bit longer, as you can see. So they really do navigate much better around 11-inch radius. So Fremo guys and rail guys, you won't have any problems. T-track guys, you're going to probably want to keep this on the outer loop of your modules. So there you have it. We've got some tank cars for you guys. Before we go any further, if you've got questions specifically about the HO or the N-scale tank cars, go ahead and drop those in the comments right now. I'll try to catch them. Otherwise, we'll go on to our next item. Let me see what we've got going on in the comments section. A lot of folks checking in from all over the United States. Here is a great point of information for you guys, both HO and N-scale. Andrew says the green Procar tank car is a common sight on the Norfolk Southern former New York Central main lines. So keep that in mind if you are a Norfolk Southern modeler, specifically if you're doing old New York Central lines, you might want to stock up on those. Thank you, Andrew, for that comment. Let's see what else we've got. Charles is happy. Charles is a fellow N scaler. He's always happy when we get some N scale. You are very welcome. Coming in from a slightly warmer part of the Midwest in Kentucky, we got Mark joining us saying hello from Kentucky. Stephen, I hope I got your question right for you at the beginning of the on top of the hour. I know you had posted before we went live about those 28-foot trailers. We'll talk a little bit about them here in a moment. Stephen says, I have an Athearn HS scale 30K gallon tank car from an earlier run, and as Jim has said, it's very nicely detailed. One of the nicest non-Genesis models the firm has made. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. And of course, the Athearn team does. Yeah, they really are. Even in N scale, they hold up really well. You can see that my layout is a little bit higher than most people would have theirs in N scale. And you can see all that nice brake detail and some of those details that we talked about. They hold up really nice, even though they're not Genesis. And the other thing I like about these is they're available in those 3-car sets. So when I go to my modular standards, I can build a really nice unit train. Let's see what else we've got here. We'll do one or two more and then we'll move on to the next item. Terry says he really likes those gray HS scale tank cars. They would look awesome to complete his tank train. Well, there you go. You've got till Friday, October 25th to place your pre-orders on those. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Now we're going to get trucking. We're going to start talking about the Freightliner cab-over tractor. So I want the guys that are probably my age and older in the room to put their hands up and say if they remember this or not. Now, before the Surface Transportation Assistance Act, otherwise known as the STAA, of 1982 deregulated trailer length in the United States, the cab over tractor, or COE for short, were pretty much commonplace. And the Freightliner FLT was produced from 1976 to 1986. This was no exception. If you model within this time span, then the Freightliner FLT, which this model is based on, is going to be perfect for your layout. Now, the truck that you see on your screen now, this is from many previous runs. It'd be pretty hard to find, but just in case you really, really want to have this truck or have a hankering for this truck, the item number on this particular model is ATH 91075. Again, that's ATH 91075. So for this run, we're going to be doing some trucking lines that you've probably heard of. Most of them are national, a couple are regional, and they're probably going to fit just about any layout. Now, again, these were popular from 1976 until 1986, but that doesn't mean you're not going to see them in the 90s or even now. So don't let that hold you back on adding a couple of these trucks to your fleet. Let's get started with the ones that we're going to be offering for the month of October. So coming up first, we have ABF Freight System Incorporated. This is how they would have appeared on this truck, basically in the 1980s. And then also we've got Gordon Trucking as seen here. Now we're going to be offering just one freight carrier per truck. So there's just one SKU on this. Again, you can go to Athearn.com and check out the new announcements and look for the Freightliner tractor. Nasea, this is one that you see all over the place now. Most of us are pretty much used to seeing these on conventional tractors, not cab over, but at one time they too had a cab over. And then of course, Schneider International Incorporated. They are everywhere. They're bright orange trucks. Well, they look just about the same on these cab overs. Again, these would be perfect for anybody that's modeling into the 1980s. Finally, two more to add to your list of possibilities. We have USF Redaway, and we also have Viking Freight. So there you have it. We've got about 6 freight companies that we're working with this month. These are all perfect for roughly the 1980s era. You can also add these into the 1990s, but keep in mind that once that deregulation happened, you didn't really have to see as many cab overs. Now, briefly, in the 1970s, the 45-foot trailer was slowly taking over the ranks of the 40 footer. But before deregulation, in order for you to run a 45-foot trailer, you needed a cab over tractor. That way you didn't exceed the limits of length on your setup. So cab overs were still popular when the 45 footers came out. Likewise, if you had a conventional truck, you were limited to a 40-foot trailer. Of course, after 1982, that all went out the window. And not only did we see bigger trailers come out later on being pulled by conventional trucks, like 48-foot trailers, and then of course 53-foot trailers, but we also saw 28-foot trailers being set up in tandems, which we're going to talk about next. Now, another thing is most truckers that were driving cross country, conventional tractors do ride a little bit better. The ride quality is better than a conventional truck. But if you're like me, you still got a soft spot for these big old cab overs. I mean, how many famous television shows and movies had one of these as featured? In fact, one of these trucks, you could dare say, had a very transforming experience. Let's go on to the next item, which is those 28-foot wedge trailers with dollies. So, like I said, with that deregulation, 1983 is really when the 28-foot wedge trailer that you see here really came into being. Pines was one of the first manufacturers to offer these 28-foot trailers. Now, again, the wedge shape, somebody had asked about earlier, why were they shaped like that? That was to help enclose the rear roll up door. Now, that didn't have any effect on the freight. That was simply a design cue for those trailer doors. Now, the 28-foot trailer provided LTL service for instances where a full-size trailer, such as at the time 45-foot or larger, would not be the most efficient. This essentially let the trucker splitting a haul into two, and it created more efficiency as one trailer can be spotted and the second can be taken to a different destination entirely without repacking. Many of the 28-foot trailers can be seen in TOFC service to this day. Now, the wedge trailers have kind of fallen out of flavor for the more common drop type frame 28-foot pups, but you can still see these around. And the ones that we're going to be offering for this run, we have a mix. They can be used in the 1990s, 1980s, and even now, depending on what you see. Now, the one that you see on your screen right here, this is from a previous run. This is the uh, set that includes both the trailers as well as the dolly as seen here. And the item number for this is ATH2298. Again, that's ATH2298. Now, it has been a number of years ago since we offered this, so this may be pretty hard to find, but just in case, I'll give you those item numbers one more time, ATH2298. Now you'll notice as we go on here, we're going to be offering trailers that go perfectly with the Freightliner that we just talked about. Of course, we've got ABF Freight, we have Gordon Trucking, and we have Saya. Now these models can be used up into the 90s. You can notice the ABF has got the safety stripes on the side of the sill. That's a more modern type thing, but you can probably sneak those in the 80s if you really, really want to. Also, we're going to do two more trailers, the USF Redaway and the Viking, which is a really cool paint scheme. I like that Viking. So there you have it. There's what you've got. So you've got some great offerings for Train Tuesday this week. You've got the HO or the N scale 30K tank cars. You've got the Freightliner cabovers, and to accompany the Freightliner cabovers, you've got these 28-foot trailers with dolly. So everything that we've talked about thus far tonight, you have got until October 25th, 2024. So get those pre-orders in. Like I said, we're tightening up the orders with the factory. That way we can catch up and get through that backlog. The good news is that means stuff will slowly get here a little bit sooner. The bad news, though, is if you don't pre-order, you might be out of luck. So with that, let's take a little bit to see what kind of questions and what you've got on your mind. Let's see, I'll go back just a little bit. Train Jack got my joke. Steven's saying some of those trucks look familiar to him. Now, one thing I do want to remind everybody, there are some great comments going on in the comment section. We want to hear from you. Now, the guys can't depend on me to remember everything that you're saying in the sidebar conversation to my left, your right. So do us a favor, send us an email. Send us an email at athearn-product-suggestions at athearn.com. Again, that's athearn-product-suggestions at athearn.com. Now, that is a depository for road names and new product suggestions. So please do not get offended if you don't get a response. That is basically just where we're getting all these cool ideas that we've been producing lately. They came from you. Also, if we do need more information, someone will reach out to you. And another thing I really want to stress, just because you put a suggestion in there doesn't mean that A, we are going to produce it, and B, if we do produce it, we're going to do it in the next run. Sometimes it takes years to get this stuff developed and put out to market. Let's see what other questions we have out there. Terry Peterson really likes the USF Holland tractor. Yes, that's going to be a popular one. Derek's already got two on pre-order, the ADF and Saya. Thank you, Derek. We appreciate that. Lewis says, by modern standards, these trucks would look rather outdated. Yes, they would. It's hard to believe, but these trucks are well over 40 years old. Now, if you're my age or older, you probably remember these trucks. By modern standards, especially now that most tractors are conventional style, yeah, these would be pretty outdated. Cool news though, if you live in the Midwest like I do, you're seeing these trucks all over again for grain season. These guys come out of hibernation and get some more miles put on them. Let's see what else we've got for comments and or questions. Stephen, thank you for joining us. Wayne wants to know, when are we going to see some Wheeling and Lake Erie models? Well, send us a product suggestion at that email I told you just a minute ago, Athearn-product suggestions at athearn.com, and we'll see what happens. Train Jack wants to know, what's the status of the SD45T-2 locomotives? ETA right now, this is rough ETA, but we're trying to keep tabs with our factory. Rough ETA is late fall, early winter of this year. Now, one of the things that you can do to stay on top of where the models that you pre-ordered are is do me a favor. Go over to the Athearn website and you'll get a pop-up that says sign up for the Athearn newsletter. If you don't get that pop-up, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and look under services, and you'll see a spot where you can select and sign up for the Athearn newsletter. Now, the Athearn newsletter is now a weekly newsletter. It goes out every Friday, and in that email newsletter, I let you know about pre-orders. I let you know about what's coming soon. And more importantly, I'll let you know what's in stock. I'll also let you know what's going on at Athearn. I'll show you some of the behind the scenes with Athearn product development, as well as what shows we're going to be going to next. So all that information and more can be found by signing up at the Athearn email newsletter. So again, go to athearn.com. If the pop-up doesn't appear, just scroll all the way down to the bottom of the website, and you'll see a link to sign up for that newsletter. That way you can help stay tuned in to what is coming soon and what is coming in time for you to set up on your roster of your railroad. Let's see what else we've got. EMP Railroad says he used to work at Gordon Trucking. That's cool. Terry's got a suggestion now for something completely different. Milwaukee Road GP20s and the two styles they rebuilt. Wow, that would be cool. That would definitely take some research, but I know a guy that could do that. Shoot us an email, please. 1970s cabovers look very cool. Delta 9 says, yes, they were. Yep. Anthony's saying, hey, Jim, I see those ABF every day. We'll be ordering those as well. Thanks for the models. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Let's see what else we've got going on. Charles wants to know, hey Jim, are there any plans in the future? Are you going to produce any auto rack trains in N scale? Nothing in the immediate future that I know of, but who knows what we do in the future. Right now, we've got plenty of projects that are keeping us busy, and you'll be seeing some of those products soon. Let's see what else we've got. Glenn saying he's patiently waiting for Delaware and Hudson GP60, and also he ordered the GP39-2s that we announced. Probably, I think it was that last month we announced those. So, Glenn, thank you for that. Let's see what else. Any other guys that are asking about, hey, can you do this or can you do that? Just go ahead and shoot us an email at Athearn-product suggestions at athearn.com. It'll be a lot better. That way it actually gets to product development. Brian wants to know, have you had any shipping problems with the shipping dock strike? Brian's talking about the East Coast longshoreman strike that happened about a week ago. So far, knock on wood, we haven't seen any repercussions to that. Now, just because they were able to resolve the strike within a matter of days doesn't mean there's not going to be some disruptions. But so far, we're not seeing it on our end. Now, keep in mind, too, that part of the country saw extreme weather. And again, my heart goes out to all those folks out there in the Southeast that were affected by those hurricanes. That has also done some damage to infrastructure. That may slow things down a little bit, but so far we're not seeing it. Good question. John wants to know an update on the GP15-1. John, I'm right there with you. I've got my pre-order for my Rock Island Rail one. I'm looking forward to it. Right now, it's looking like the factory is telling us it's going to be probably about the time we all go to the Amherst show early next year. So I'm hoping by the time we're at the Amherst show, we've got those models in the booth. That is subject to change. Keep in mind that anytime I give you an ETA, that's exactly what it is, an estimated time of arrival. Let's see. Michael's reminding me too, Train Fest, he's ready. That's right. We're going to be at Train Fest as well. We're going to have a good sized booth, and we're going to have myself as well as Mark there to talk to you guys. So if you're going to go to Train Fest, it's back. It's let's see, the 23rd and 24th of November, and we're going to talk a little bit about it in the email newsletter that goes out this Friday. So if you're in the Midwest, and even if you're not in the Midwest, come on, fly out to Milwaukee Train Fest. It's going to be over 170,000 square feet of model trains, and we're going to be a part of it. We're going to have a booth there with some new stuff, and really excited to see everybody in the Milwaukee area. Train Fest is just a great show. Let's see what else we've got going on. BN Green 1970 says, Jim, does Athearn have licensing to do those distinct UPS 28 footers? If so, any interest in doing those? They were all over TOFC service in the 70s and 80s. Are you talking about the earlier drop frame ones, not the ones that we've done that are more of a 90s prototype, but the earlier version? We haven't had a lot of requests for those, but if we do, that's something we may consider in the future. Frank wants to know any word on the next AC 4400 CW release will be hitting the stores. It was originally September 2024. You are correct. It was. There was a little bit of a delay. We're looking like probably the end of October, which means we will probably have some at the booth at Train Fest. And by the time we have them at the booth at Train Fest, dealers will have them. So again, keep tabs on everything by signing up for the email newsletter. Of course, you can also watch social media. Myself and a lot of other Athearn employees watch our social media and try to answer as many questions as possible. Let's see what else we've got going on. Thank you for those that have pre-ordered. Sid, the next round of SD40 T-2s, I believe, will be here this winter, just in time for you to give yourself a Christmas gift. Train Jack, and we're talking about trucks tonight, so an appropriate question. Any updates on the agreement for a license with Mac. Unfortunately, I don't have any news for you on that. Sometimes these licensing agreements take quite a bit of time. It's a case of legality and talking legalese back and forth. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Fortunately, I don't have an update for you on those, but I'm with you. I was ready to have some Macs in both HO and N scale once again. Iron Horse Historian says, have you guys done anything foreign from places like the UK, France, Germany, Italy, etc.? We have not. Not anything like that. Does that mean we won't? No, I think there are certain locomotives, whether it be from the Asian market or the European market, that have a certain draw. So it's possible in the future, while we don't have any immediate plans to do anything like that, and it's possible in the future we might look into that. Let's see. Elko Man Kyle says, can't wait to see you at Trainfest. Likewise, stop by the booth. One of the best things about these shows is I'm not just talking to a screen, I'm talking to an individual. And again, the folks that come to the shows, we're modelers too. So we want to hear what you guys are up to. We like to talk to you guys. It would be really boring if we were just standing at the booth looking at the models all day. Stop by, talk to us. We love interacting with you guys. Let's see. We're going to go with a couple of more questions, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to some modeling. Let's see what else we've got. Jason's already planning for Chattanooga in 2026, and that is going to be fun. If you don't know, the NMRA show will be held in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 2026, and I can't wait. A couple of guys asking about updates on models. I'm going to refer you to our email newsletter as well as our social media. Otherwise, I'll be here all night just answering those questions. I do appreciate your patience. The website still needs some refinements. We are working on it. More importantly, the folks at Horizon are working on it. Hopefully, we'll get through this soon. But until then, you can always look to the email newsletter and social media for updates. The other cool thing is product development is sharing a lot more pictures with me lately. So you're going to get to see stuff that others don't see quite right away. So keep an eye out for that. Randall wants to know, hadn't seen the ST70 Mac in a long time. Is this tooling still good? I know it's getting up there in age. Just curious. That would be a good question for product development. Right off the top of my head, I don't know what the status of the tooling is. You are correct. It is one of the older models in our fleet. It is probably time for some refinements to that. Now, keep in mind that the current product development staff here at Athearn, when our tooling starts to show some issues, we not only fix those issues, but we update those models. That's why you've seen in the past year GP40s, GP38-2s, GP15-1s. You've seen them updated with working lighting features, or in the case of the U50s, they've been upgraded to have 4 speakers versus the old 2, or other design changes. So we try to not only update, or I'm sorry, we don't just fix those tools, but we update them as well to keep up with the technology. Thomas says, Athearn shirts and hats. How much are you willing to pay? I would love to be in a situation where I could just give away Athearn shirts, but in the reality of it, we can't afford to do that. Athearn's actually a pretty small company, and we want to make sure that our focus is on models that you want to put on your layout in both HO and N scale. However, if we do see that there's a market for shirts and we think it's something that you would like to purchase, we'll look into it a little bit further. So far, we haven't seen as much demand as we originally thought. All right. Well, one more question, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to it. Actually, I'll make an exception because Train Jack, I just saw your question. Since he got the joke, would it be possible for a truck that is like, you know who? I can't say it because of what? Licensing. That would be a Hasbro licensing thing, and it would be super expensive. However, keen-eyed modelers will know that in the past we have offered trucks that have paint schemes that are similar to famous truck and movie trucks that were featured in movies and television shows. And since that certain transforming robot was based on an actual vehicle, you never know. Good question. All right, with that, I'm going to do one more question and then I'm going to let you guys get to some modeling. Let's see, a lot of good suggestions. Please keep those to the Athearn product suggestion email. Let's finish with a hard question. Chris Taylor says, I love how you tell us you'll do things we like, but then nothing ever comes about it. Well, Chris, I'm not sure if that's really true. We deliver items, and it sometimes takes, in this case, it's been taking us about 2 years for some of those items to come to the States. So that's not completely true. It's just taking us longer than what we would like it to get here. So when we talk about tooling updates or updates to lighting features, that means that they're going to get here. It's just a matter of those tools getting updated as well as produced and then shipped from our factory. Something else too, and maybe you're thinking about the metal couplers that we've been talking about for a couple of years. Unfortunately, what you don't see is Athearn product development spends a lot of time not only tooling up these models, but doing extensive tests. Now, there's no sense in us coming up with a new model or a new piece of a model, say this case, a metal coupler, if it doesn't work right. The last thing we want to do is sell you a product that doesn't work right. So there's a lot of testing involved. Also, another thing that we've implemented over the last year is we work closely with Horizon Quality Control. Quality Control takes a look at everything before it's shipped from our factories to make sure it's up to spec. And when I say up to spec, I mean everything from the drivetrain to the motor, the amperage draw, to the actual artwork that was provided the factory to make the completed model. All that's checked by our Horizon Quality Control, and then subsequently it's shipped to you. Now, does that mean that every single model that we ship from our factory and from the Athearn distribution center is going to show up at your workshop perfectly safe and sound? No, I can't tell you that. With all the details that a lot of these models are included, sometimes those models get shaken in transit. Sometimes our our freight carriers aren't as kind to our products as we'd like them to be. Stuff happens. We get it. Because of all that detail, those details can get broken and lost. If that is your case, please keep in mind that your Athearn products do have a warranty, and that we're going to cover that warranty. And you can contact us through our website, through our Contact Us form, and let us know. And we'll do whatever it takes to make it right for you. So we ended on a hard question, and I'm going to let you guys get back to it. I've got some modeling to do. You've got some modeling to do. And I want to thank you all for joining me tonight for another Train Tuesday. Until we meet again, I want everyone out there to be happy, be healthy, do some good modeling, and above all, high greens. Take care, everyone.